There is a call that echoes through the vastness of time and silence. It is not a shout but a whisper, a murmur that brushes the soul like a gentle breeze at dawn. This call doesn't seek ordinary ears, nor does it announce itself with fanfare. It seeks ready hearts, even if they remain unaware of their readiness. It is an invitation to the unknown, a door that opens only for those brave enough to walk through. Imagine a path winding through mountains shrouded in mist. Every step is a test, every obstacle a hidden lesson. The spiritual journey resembles this path, unpredictable, challenging, and profoundly transformative. Those who accept the call never return unchanged. With every step, something within them shifts. A veil is lifted, an old wound is healed, a lost piece of the self is found. Few realize it, but every soul carries a secret destiny, a mission buried beneath the layers of an ordinary existence. However, not all awaken to this truth. Many move through life as sleeping travelers, ignoring the signs, the subtle touches of fate beckoning them to a higher path. The call is exclusive, a privilege wrapped in mystery, reserved for those who dare to see beyond appearances and hear the echo of something greater within themselves. And so I ask, do you feel this echo? That subtle restlessness dancing at the edge of your awareness? If so, you are on the brink of something extraordinary, a journey that transcends the mundane and unveils what has always been within you. With every challenge, a new layer will be revealed, guiding you closer to your purest, truest essence. But remember, this is a path for the few. Only those who embrace the call can uncover its secrets. The call doesn't arrive with trumpets or clear words. It hides in the folds of daily life, in the inexplicable sense of emptiness amidst the noise of accomplishments. Perhaps you felt it, that unease that refuses to quiet even when everything seems in place. It's like the toll of a distant bell, it sounds so subtle that only attentive ears can catch it. It doesn't resonate to be heard but to be felt, echoing in the soul like a memory of something forgotten. Recognizing the call is like noticing a beam of light cutting through a closed curtain. At first, you might ignore it, thinking it a trick of the mind. But the call persists, insistent, until you can no longer look away. It challenges you to step out of your comfort zone, to peer beyond the expectations that have shaped your life. Why do you feel something is missing when the world tells you that you have everything? Imagine sitting in a silent room, hearing a clock tick away the time. It's a small sound, almost insignificant, but it becomes impossible to ignore. The call is much the same. It begins as a whisper, a slight discomfort, until it becomes undeniable. Those who ignore it often find themselves trapped in an endless cycle of searching for something that never satisfies. It's the fate of those who close their eyes to the light trying to pierce their darkness. Answering the call is an act of courage. It is a leap into the unknown, a surrender to mystery. It demands that you abandon the safety of who you think you are to discover who you truly are. Many resist, clinging to the comfort of the familiar, but those who dare to take the first step find within themselves the seed of a transformation they could never have imagined. So, do you hear the bells toll? What will you do with the echo that resonates within you? Will you answer the call or continue trying to silence its melody? Remember, this is the first test, and it demands more than you might expect. It requires you to see yourself clearly and to accept that something greater awaits beyond the invisible walls you've built around yourself. The journey inward is the road less traveled because there are no maps to guide those who dare to explore it. It is a descent into the depths of oneself, where the known and unknown blend in a play of shadows and light. There are no companions on this journey, only the echo of your breath and the weight of questions long avoided. Facing what lies within us is more challenging than confronting any external storm. In the murky waters of our inner world dwell forgotten fragments. Buried memories, unresolved pain, abandoned dreams. Diving into them is like entering a dark, deep ocean where every movement feels slow, and every breath seems like a victory. There are treasures hidden there, yes, but they are guarded by creatures you've never wanted to face. Who are we, truly, when we strip away the masks we wear for the world? And more importantly, who are we when we are alone, away from the voices that shape our perception? These questions arise like beacons in the darkness, illuminating the path but also exposing what we would rather keep hidden. Imagine standing before a mirror that reflects not only your face but your essence. This mirror cannot be broken or avoided. It forces you to see everything, the scars, the fears, the contradictions. And yet, as you look deeper, you notice that amidst the cracks shines a soft, almost imperceptible light. That light is your essence, the immutable, eternal part of you that has patiently awaited rediscovery. But the road to this discovery is arduous. It takes courage to face the inner shadows you've preferred to ignore. It takes strength to endure the silence, where your deepest thoughts echo without barriers. And it takes patience to keep digging, even when it seems there is nothing left to find. On the journey inward, you won't find ready-made answers, only more questions. But these questions are the keys to doors you didn't know existed. The dive is deep and the return is not guaranteed. Still, those who dare to emerge carry with them an invaluable treasure, the truth of who they really are. And you, are you willing to descend into the depths? Are you ready to find what is both pure and terrifying within yourself? If so, press on. Because the next step in the journey will take you further than you've ever imagined. The crossing between the self and the collective is like walking a suspension bridge between two islands. On one shore stands the individual with their desires, dreams, and uniqueness. On the other, the collective with its complexity, intertwined voices, and eternal invitation to connection. To remain in the middle of this bridge, without falling into the solitude of ego or the complete dissolution into others, is a delicate art, a test of spiritual maturity. Throughout life, we are taught that we must choose. Either surrender entirely to others, sacrificing our desires, or build impenetrable barriers to protect our individuality. But do we really need to live in this perpetual conflict? Perhaps there is a space where the self can dance in harmony with the collective, like a melody finding perfection in the union of different notes. This balance, however, does not arise naturally. It requires attentiveness, not only to the sound of external voices but also to the whispers of your soul. Loving others without losing yourself is like walking a silver thread where every step demands awareness and courage. How can we extend a hand if we haven't learned to hold our own? How can we accept others fully if we are still struggling to embrace our imperfections? Think of love as a mirror. It reflects both the beauty in others and the parts of ourselves that still need healing. Living together is a constant test. It challenges our pride, patience, and capacity to forgive. And yet, it is also an unparalleled source of growth, reminding us that the spiritual journey is never entirely solitary. Imagine a bridge built by delicate yet firm hands. It doesn't erase the islands it connects. On the contrary, it highlights their unique beauty, allowing each to contribute to something greater. So are we called to build this link between self and collective, not to lose ourselves but to find ourselves in a broader context. Balancing these two worlds is learning to live in paradox. It is realizing that being whole doesn't mean being isolated and that belonging doesn't mean dissolving. It is finding a home within yourself while recognizing that home is only complete when shared with others. And you? Can you hear the call of this bridge inviting you to walk it? Are you ready to discover the balance between being yourself and being part of something greater? This is a journey that demands both surrender and steadfastness. A challenge for those brave enough to dance between extremes, creating a unique and necessary harmony. The modern world is a symphony of relentless noise. Social media, notifications, opinions, demands, everything seems to conspire to steal our attention, scattering it into 1,000 fragments. It's like being in a city where the roar of the streets drowns out even the most intimate thoughts, silencing the soft voice of the soul as it struggles to be heard. In this environment, finding silence is more than a choice. It's an act of resistance, a test that few can overcome. Distractions surround us, promising comfort and instant gratification, but delivering only an ever-growing sense of emptiness in return. We are bombarded with information, fabricated desires, and endless comparisons. Every image we see, every opinion we read, adds layers of noise that pull us further from our essence. The outside world screams while our inner world whispers, its voice growing fainter, until it becomes almost impossible to hear. Imagine a traveler lost in a dense forest, where the leaves whisper ancient stories, but the sounds of machines and human voices obscure their beauty. The forest is their soul, rich, mysterious, full of treasures, but the traveler cannot appreciate it because they are distracted, constantly trying to follow paths laid out by others. They fail to see that the clarity they seek lies in the silence they avoid. Facing the distractions of the modern world is like seeking serenity amidst chaos. It is an invitation to turn off the external noise and venture into the vastness within. Yet silence can be frightening because in it, there is nowhere to hide from our doubts, fears, and truths. This is why so many flee, diving deeper into distractions, afraid of what they might find if left alone with themselves. But there is beauty in silence. It is there that we find the answers the world cannot give us. It is there that we hear the rhythm of life, the ancient pulse that connects us to something greater. It is there that we learn to separate what is essential from what is superficial. Imagine standing in a tranquil forest where everything is in harmony, the birds, the wind, the trees. That is the state of mind we seek when we step away from the noise and draw closer to what truly matters. Can we hear our own soul amidst the chaos of modern life? Do we have the courage to abandon, even momentarily, the deceptive comfort of distractions to seek the serenity we crave? This challenge is not easy, but it is necessary. For only in silence can we find the clarity to move forward. And you, are you ready to turn off the noise and listen to what's within? Are you prepared to face the apparent emptiness, only to discover it is the space where your essence can flourish? Vulnerability is a paradox. For so long, we've been taught that exposing our weaknesses is synonymous with showing frailty, that we must wear armor to face the world, hide our doubts, fears, and pain. But in truth, vulnerability is an act of courage. A strength born from the profound understanding that authenticity is what makes us human. It is the most intimate test, for it demands we lower our defenses and allow the world to see us as we truly are. Imagine a warrior who, after years of wearing heavy armor, decides to remove it. At first, they feel the wind touch their skin and the warmth of the sun that could never reach their essence before. They realize that without the armor they can move more freely, but they also feel the fear of being hurt, of being seen entirely, without the protections that once made them invulnerable. This is the test of vulnerability, to remove the armor and allow oneself to feel, even knowing pain might follow. True strength lies in admitting that we are not perfect, that we carry scars, doubts, and stories that have shaped us. When we open ourselves, we create space for others to connect with us in a genuine way. Vulnerability is a bridge that links hearts, a language understood without words. But why do we fear showing it so much? Perhaps because the world teaches us to avoid pain at all costs, to hide what might make us appear small. But what if, instead, we embraced the idea that pain is also a teacher? That each time we open ourselves we become more whole, more real, more capable of loving and being loved? The courage to be vulnerable is what transforms superficial relationships into deep connections. It's what turns isolated souls into communities of mutual support. Think of vulnerability as the rain falling on dry land. At first, it feels like an invasion, a discomfort. But over time, the soil begins to absorb every drop, and what was once barren transforms into fertile ground full of life. That is us, when we allow our tears, fears, and stories to nourish our humanity. So why are we so afraid to show who we really are? Perhaps because we believe we will be rejected, misunderstood, or hurt. But the truth is, when we reveal our vulnerability, we give others the chance to see us fully. And often, it is in this act of courage that we find the acceptance we've been seeking. And you? Are you ready to remove your armor and feel the wind for the first time? Are you willing to show the world the beauty that exists in your vulnerability? This test demands bravery, but those who face it discover that true strength is not in hiding but in revealing. To serve is an act of transcendence. When we turn toward others with pure intentions, we find a purpose that goes beyond our individual needs. Service, however, is not a sacrifice that depletes us. It is an exchange, a dance in which the flame we offer to illuminate someone else's darkness also warms our own spirit. But serving genuinely is a challenge, a test that demands balance and surrender. Imagine a candle lighting another. The first flame does not lose its glow by sharing its light. On the contrary, it multiplies the brightness, filling the space around with warmth and luminosity. True service is much the same. A gesture that doesn't diminish the giver but elevates both the receiver and the one offering. Yet this generosity must be guided by wisdom, for there is a fine line between giving with love and losing oneself in excess, neglecting the need for self-care. The modern world, with its frantic pace, often makes us believe that we must give endlessly, that exhaustion is a virtue. But this imbalance turns the act of service into a burden rather than a path to spiritual growth. The true art of service lies in finding the balance where we can give to others without extinguishing our own flame. It's a test of trust, faith in the flow of life, and the understanding that the universe will return the favor in the right measure at the right time. Those who serve discover a subtle power, the ability to transform lives including their own. Every smile we inspire, every hand we help lift, every act of kindness we share creates an echo that reverberates beyond what we can see. This echo teaches us that we are not separate but deeply connected, and that helping others is, in a way, helping ourselves. However, genuine service requires rare humility. It means giving without expectations, without seeking recognition or immediate rewards. It's about trusting that by putting love into the world, it will come back, not necessarily as we expect, but in unexpected and beautiful ways. Think of a tree bearing fruit. It doesn't choose who will benefit from its gifts, nor does it ask for anything in return. It simply gives, fulfilling its natural purpose. And so the question arises, how much are we willing to give of ourselves to light someone else's path? Can we balance this act of love with the care needed to keep our own light burning? This challenge is not just about giving, but about learning that true giving comes from a full heart, not an empty one. And you? Are you ready to ignite your flame and let your light reach others, knowing that in doing so, it will never diminish but only grow? This is the test of service, and those who embrace it find in it a strength that transforms both the world and themselves. Surrendering to the flow of life is the most challenging and liberating act we can undertake. It's an invitation to let go of the reins, abandon the illusion of control, and trust that the universe has its own rhythm, a rhythm we cannot dictate but can learn to hear. This is the pinnacle of the spiritual journey, the moment we stop fighting the currents and surrender to the river that carries us, always to where we need to be. Picture a winding river, flowing with strength and grace, carrying leaves, branches, and particles of life in its eternal dance toward the ocean. Many try to resist the current, believing they must swim against it to reach their destinations. But the river is wise. It knows the deepest paths, the invisible shortcuts. Surrendering to it isn't giving up. It's trusting that a greater force guides each bend and whirlpool. Life teaches us from an early age that we must be the architects of our destiny, that control is synonymous with power. But control is a fragile illusion, a rope that tightens the more we pull, cutting into our hands. True strength lies in acceptance, in the ability to walk with the unknown, to embrace the mystery of what lies ahead. This doesn't mean passivity. It means learning to hear the melody of the universe and dancing with it instead of imposing our own rhythm. Surrendering to the flow of life is often frightening. It's like letting go of a cliff, trusting that the wind will know how to hold you. But it's in this surrender that we find the peace we've been seeking, the freedom to be exactly who we are without the constant need to prove our worth or control every outcome. Look to nature. Trees don't fight the wind. They bend, knowing that their flexibility is what keeps them standing. Birds don't question the air. They trust their wings to carry them. In the same way, we are called to trust in what we cannot see but deeply feel, a force that connects, moves, and guides us, even in the moments of greatest uncertainty. Are we ready to let go of the reins? To abandon the endless struggle against the inevitable and simply flow? This is the surrender that doesn't weaken us but strengthens us. Because by trusting in the flow of life, we discover that we are not adrift but sailing with a greater purpose, a force that takes us where we truly belong. And you, can you hear the river calling you to let go? Are you willing to trust that even when the path ahead is unclear, the universe knows exactly where to take you? This is the ultimate and deepest test, and those who embrace it find not just the ocean but themselves. The final awakening is not a destination, it's a recognition. It's the moment when all the pieces of the spiritual journey come together, and you realize they were always there. There's nothing to achieve, nothing to conquer. What we seek is present in every breath, in every moment lived with awareness. Awakening is a return to oneself, a remembrance that we have never been separate from the whole. Imagine being in a confusing dream, running through endless corridors searching for answers, chasing something that always seems out of reach. And then, in a moment of clarity, you awaken. Everything makes sense, and what once seemed chaotic is now seen as part of a perfect whole. Spiritual awakening is much the same. It doesn't erase the challenges but illuminates them, showing that every obstacle, every pain, every doubt was necessary to bring you to where you are now. On the spiritual journey, we face fears, shadows, and illusions. Each challenge is like a veil being lifted, revealing a new layer of our essence. And at the end, the greatest veil falls, the illusion of separation. We realize that we are not alone, that we never have been. We are like drops in the ocean, unique in form but inseparable from the whole. This realization is liberating. It's where we find peace that transcends understanding, joy that doesn't depend on circumstances. Letting go of fear, ego, and the need for control is an act of profound courage. It's like releasing a balloon to the wind, trusting that it will find the sky. When we do this, we experience a lightness that cannot be described in words, only lived. We see that the purpose isn't in some distant future but in the journey itself, in every step, in every breath. Life isn't a problem to be solved but a mystery to be appreciated. And so I ask, are you ready to answer the call? To face the challenges and emerge transformed? There are no maps for this journey, only the compass of your soul, always pointing inward. If you listen, if you trust, you will find something beyond what you can imagine. You will find yourself. If this video touched you in any way, leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with those you feel are ready for this journey too. Your story can inspire others, and together we can create a space for transformation and connection. Like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for joining us on this soul-to-soul journey.